Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to another ranking of recent reads, okay? So today I have almost 40 recent releases. So the way that I do these probably every 2 to 3 months. It just depends on how many recent reads that I get to. I do a lot of ARCs, I do a lot of debut authors, I do a lot of indie books, as well as reading from big publishers and bigger indie authors. I read some of everything in romance. And I like to kind of do this breakdown just focused on recent releases. So what I mean by recent is they have come out basically in this case, I think the oldest one I have in here is from March, and that's because I had an arc of it and I didn't get to it for a while. It was my bad. But in general, these are ones that have come out since about June, with, again, a couple stragglers because I was behind on some. And the way that I do this is I rank them from the ones I liked the least to the ones that I loved the most. I link the authors down below so you can find them there. And I just have a fun time. I have started color coding my lists and it brings me extreme joy. So we're going to do that. I'm going to try not to talk about them too much because every one of these books I have done a more detailed review on my channel, so I will link the my weekly wrap-up playlist. So if there is one of these that you want more detail on, especially some of them that I rank lower, because I really will try not to rant about them here. I'll just tell you the main bullet points of why it didn't work for me. I do have my notes over here so that I can remember that. But for the most part, I'm not gonna get into that with it because I don't want to just harp on anything, right? That's not what we're here for. But yeah, that is kind of the point of this one. I love doing these. I love doing these roundups, and I've been doing them for over a year now, so it's really cool to settle in on all of those. What I will start out with though too is I have 3 books that one of them I beta read, and 2 of them I read for Noel. Now, books like that I don't share my ratings for, so if I shared them with you where they fit into my list, that would be telling you what I rated them. So I'm going to talk about all 3 of those just real quickly. They are recent reads that again, one of them I beta read for a friend, and 2 of them I was reading for Noel, so I'm not going to talk about them in any way but glowing, right? So a book that actually released today that I beta read was Protect Home by Indie Valentine, aka That Tall Book Girl. So this was one I beta read, almost I think a month and a half ago for her, and that just released today, August 22nd, the day that I'm filming this. This is the 3rd book in her Atlanta Boys and the 4th book that she's published overall, and I'm just so proud of her. I love seeing how her writing has grown, and this one is an accidental pregnancy, and also I think the heroine is a couple years older than the hero. It's a baseball player, and is she social media person for the team? I think that's what she does. But yeah, they end up hooking up, and now there is a baby, so they become roommates to raise it. Meanwhile, the hero is kind of trying to win her over. So that's what happens in Protect Home. Really sweet, really cute. She has a bit of a quirky style of writing that I have just loved watching it develop. She writes very fierce heroines and very intense. This one is for having a scene, because it is a hookup to start with. This one, she really loves to tease you out with the relationship. She is a slow burn queen for sure. So that is available now. Then there was Untouchable by Claire Kent, which was actually a re-release from her. It used to be the revenge duet that was actually published with an indie publisher, and now it is back in her control, and she smushed the 2 parts together, did a lot of editing for it, and she came out with this whopper which is called Untouchable. And this one is a revenge romance. It is not a super cozy one. It borders on dark, I would say. There are some trigger warnings for this one, which she has listed in the beginning of it, and it has a lot of sex that the heroine does just to learn information. So there's coercive and lied situations. So it's not her normal thing for sure. But it was such an experience to read, and I'm just really intrigued to see what people's feelings will be for that overall over time. But I'm really glad that it was republished again. She's doing that with a few of hers. And I like that she has a wide range for people to enjoy. And then the other release, which, you know, just made me so happy to get to beta read, and not beta read. I read a bit more than an like ARC edition, right? I read it before it was an ARC, but there was Protected, which is a book connected to the Kindle series, but it actually is more of like a bridge into the wild, which will be coming next year. And that will be the Wild series. The book is called Lost Song is the first one, and we actually will meet the hero and a few other characters who will be in that series. So this one takes place just 2 years after Impact, and we get introduced to the heroine Lila. I think it's Lila. And then Deck is the hero, and he is a silent hero. He has chosen to be mute, and she has been on her own for a while since her boyfriend died. She's 24 years old, and she gets scooped into this group, which is run by Logan, and Deck is one of his like right-hand guys. And she gets brought into the group kind of without her choice, but Logan is like, we will look after you. You are safer with us. And so she gets scooped into the group, and Deck kind of becomes her protector and eventually her lover within the group. And you do get some peeks at some characters you know, haven't seen before, which is cool. Like I said, you get introduced to Logan, who will be like the Mac character in the Wild series. So I already loved him by the end of this one, and I won't tell you, but there are some secrets you find out about Logan that you can already tell. His story is going to be so juicy. I can't wait for it. So yeah, this one is out. It's available now. My hardback is actually on the way. I was poking at her, you guys, to get the hardbacks, because I do have, they're behind my Last Light, but I have hardbacks of every one of her books in this. And I was like, Noelle, I know you got stuff going on, but can you please design this book for me so I can add it to my collection? And she did. So Protected is available now. So cool. You can get signed copies on her website if you would like as well, which is great. All right. So those are the three that I did not like rank them in. So now we're going to go to the beginning and start with, I had 2 DNFs this time. I really wasn't playing around this quarter. I really got to DNF more and more quickly. Because it just leads everyone to be happier when Jen doesn't force herself through a book. The first one that I DNF'd was The King of Hearts by Alex Grayson. And I've kind of decided that Alex Grayson isn't for me. Which, I've only read 2 books, and one book I loved. But this book I so viscerally hated, and I realized that this style of story is what Alex Grayson writes. And I'm not in a phase where I want to read something as dark as this one. Again, in this video, I'm not doing full-ons why I don't like stuff, because I want to get through all 38 of these books. But this one had to do with secretly getting a woman pregnant, lots of somnophilia, forced marriage, forced pregnancy, which individually, those are all things that I can read, and there are books I have loved reading with those dark themes in it. But having them all in one book, this truly was like a villain gets the girl without any redeeming qualities, in my opinion. Like, when you're gonna make a hero that dark, or the main male character that dark, I need more niblets to love about him so that I'm willing to excuse all of the darkness. This is just my personal thing. There are people, when I explained why I didn't like this book, they immediately want to read it, right? That is the beauty of personal taste. But whereas The Wild Man, which was a Tarzan retelling, the way that that hero acted so completely inappropriately and literally tied the heroine to him so he could fuck her whenever he wanted to, there was like reason and precedent for him to literally be acting like an animal. And having a guy so fully be able to manipulate every little thing about something in the King of Hearts, I just couldn't do it. like, I just couldn't do it. Like, the kind where it's like, literally, if a man speaks to you, I'm going to kill him. Not a man's hitting on you. Not a man's making you uncomfortable. If a man even speaks to you, I'm going to kill him. That is a different kind of thing that I just don't want to read. I just don't want to read. And it was very long, and I got to about like 50% in that one, and I was feeling heavy. So when I read a dark romance, if I can't find anything to like niggle onto, I gotta pop out. So that was one that I DNF'd. The other one I DNF'd was In Death, Love, Survive. So that's actually one that just happened to. I don't think I've talked about, well, when you guys see this, no, you won't have seen it yet. So my next weekly wrap up will have more details about this one. Sorry, I had to think about when videos are coming out, but this one's going up tomorrow on Saturday, and my TBR is going up next week. So yeah, in this one, it is a prison, like, psychiatrist falls for a prisoner who he was falsely accused. So there's all these excuses, but they fall in love in insta-love. And she's literally willing to risk her job and her safety after 2 visits. 2 psychiatric visits with this prisoner. And she's willing to give up everything for him. I don't get that. So I was intrigued by the forbidden nature of it. But I've read a few prison romances at this point. Both ones where they're both in prison and ones where one person loves someone in prison, and they were both done better than this one. So it was an intriguing idea, but this is another one. I made it halfway into this. And the way the heroine's intelligence went from, this is a psychiatrist, and she is very smart, and she understands these type of, like, attractions with people, and she just, I mean, and the thing is, the hero wasn't a bad guy, again, because he was falsely in prison, and, like, there were things to like about him. This also has some biker gang stuff in it, too, so MC Club. I just couldn't do it. So, again, I'll talk more about that on a weekly wrap-up, but that was a DNF. So, those were the 2 that I DNF'd. Books that I gave 3 stars, I just had 3 of those. There was Thorns from the Fall by Jess Wisecup, which I had pre-ordered a physical copy of this one, and I still don't have it. And Jess had said she's shipped it, but I still haven't got it. So I need to check in with her again about it. I do want to have the completed duet, but as I go into a lot of details in the weekly wrap-up where I read this one, this was just too heavy for me. It really, really was. I know the point of it was mental health, but the amount of the book that the heroine is thinking of ending her life and the hero encouraging her to do it, because there are mortal enemies, there is that. But I didn't find anything redeeming about them getting together by the end. And that's what I need to feel if you're going to go that dark. I truly would have rather just read the first book ended with the betrayal that the heroine does and have that be the end than have sat through what I did in the second half. So that one I actually like rounded up to a 3 for it because there were some parts of it that were very well written, but I just don't know what Jess was doing in that book. And I've said that and I stand by it. I don't know what was happening with that book. It did not work for me at all. Next one I gave 3 stars was Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. I talked for 20 minutes about this book when I read that one. So again, check out the playlist of that. You'll be able to tell which video this one's in because I hold it up. A lot of my issues had to do with why I'm conflicted about fan fiction being published, how similar this felt to the auction, and why I'm uncomfortable with it. So while I don't think this was poorly written, while I understand why everyone loves it, especially those who didn't read the fan fiction, I'm just conflicted, and it took a lot of my enjoyment out of it the more I thought about it. So that's why this one's at a 3 star. I don't know if I'm going to continue the series or not. It depends on if my opinions change. And honestly, there's been just so much controversy revolving about this now. Like, I'm kind of exhausted. Even though, again, like, I'm still planning to read Alchemize, but that will be the last trad published fan fiction that I give a try to for now. So I've said that. That's one I'm already still excited about, and we'll see. But Rose and Chains was a miss for me. And then the last one that I gave 3 stars was The Sleepover by Daisy Jane. This one, I don't understand this couple. They were very, very young, which was part of it too. I don't understand why one character was in high school, one was the first year of college, I think, and it was a almost step. See, that's the thing. They're not step siblings yet. Their parents are like engaged, and they fall in love as well. And there's also a surprise pregnancy that I don't know what the fuck the heroine was doing with her reaction to it. It was just a mess, and honestly, I've been disappointed by the last couple Daisy Jane that I've read, and so I'm kind of sad about that because she was an erotic romance author that really pushed the envelope, but to me, it's now become only about pushing the envelope, whereas, like, the books in the Wrench Kings, and in the, at least the first Twisted Sister at the time, I thought was clever and was turning some things on its head. For sure, the Wrench Kings and the Malibu, like I don't know what that series was. One of the characters was named like Malibu. I really liked those and how she explored kink and like what it was. They've become so lost in the sauce, twisted now that I just don't care for them. So probably not going to be signing up for any more Daisy Jane arcs. And it will probably be a while before I try her again. I've just been a bit too let down by her lately. Okay, 3.5 star books. So this is where we're getting into ones that I obviously more liked than didn't. But yeah, I have 2 of those for you. These are mostly 3.5s because though they like were good, but they let me down in some way. And you'll see what I mean. It's funny that these 2 were 3.5 star books. So one of them was Entwined by Rebecca Quinn. Okay, so this was the finale to the what's it called? This was the final book in the Brutes of Bristlebrook series, right? And I was so pumped for this one, y'all. So pumped for this one. And it was one that I got pushed back. We knew it was going to be really long. So, like, I was prepared to, oops, wrong one. I was prepared for it, but it was 900 pages on my Kindle. And also, I just don't know what happened with their romance. There was so much weird stuff happening in the world, and I just lost the excitement and the love I had for this, you know, this why choose scenario that was being built. There was a choice of one of the characters in the why choose who basically rebelled against it and kind of kidnapped the heroine away from everyone else for a good part of the book. And everyone just kind of let him work his shit out. They just let him, like, keep her from them. And he would fuck her senseless constantly. And she let him. And I just didn't care for it. So, honestly, it was probably less than a 3.5 for me. But I also know that why choose is just in general really difficult for me. Especially when there was 5 men and 1 woman in it. And I don't know. I just didn't see them as a unit by the end of the story. And it was way too long. That one took me, I started it when it came out at the end of June, I think. And I was reading it for 3 solid weeks because I would read it every night before bed and I kept falling asleep reading it. So, and then the other one was also a big letdown for me was Lord of the Labyrinth by Emma Castle. This is also a book I waited for. I waited for this one probably longer than like anything but a Sarah J. Maas book. I've been waiting for this book because the author first teased it back in 2020. I went and checked. She first teased this book in 2020, which is all right. Like, it's okay that it wasn't ready to come out yet. She's been working on her historical books. This is an author who has 2 pen names. It's not the fact that it took so long to get here, because she really just shared that she had the idea for Lord of the Labyrinth and that she's working on a Labyrinth retelling. But then when I actually, like, got it, I even asked for an arc of it. Like, I reached out to Emma Castle and I was like, can I please read this early. I really want to talk about it on my channel. So I don't do that anymore, really. Like, it's not because I don't, you know, enjoy doing that. It's my schedule's so thickly filled that I don't, that was an interesting innuendo to choose. So to take on another book is like, to seek it out is a lot for me. And this book just had so much potential. It had Fae involved. It has the setup of like there's like those snowy white owl in the beginning. Our heroine has a younger stepbrother that she cares for a lot. She ends up getting taken away to the Lord of the Labyrinth. And he doesn't want to let her go. And she's like, I need to go back to my family. And he says, you can if you're able to make it to the center of my labyrinth, but every night you have to spend it with me. So like, there's a lot of setup to this. And he kept saying that he was going to take what he wanted from her, but like, it also wasn't as dark as that makes it sound. But yet this was a single book. It was a standalone. It was only about 300 pages, which these are all things I like, because I'm like, ooh, this author is going to pack a punch in just 300 pages. I don't feel like she did that. I don't feel like she packed the punch I wanted her to pack. And I didn't feel like I really got to know this Lord of the Labyrinth. And also there's like stuff going on in his kingdom that I feel like wasn't fully fleshed either. So it's not that I wanted this book to be longer. It's that I don't think she accomplished what she needed to make it believable. So anyway, again, I don't have time to go through the whole thing. But that one was a disappointment to me because I had high hopes for it. The cover, there was 2 covers for it. They were both beautiful. And I was just disappointed. And I hate that because a lot of you guys were excited. You couldn't wait for my thoughts on it. And there are literally like 2 Labyrinth retellings, right? And one is extremely dark and twisty by Lilith Vincent. Not everyone's going to want that. And the other was this one. And it just was a disappointment to me. Those were the 3.5. All right, let's get in to the 4-star reads, which are obviously, this is where we're at, where I liked everything forward. I don't have too many nitpicks about any of them. Let's go through them here. So we had The Overtime Kiss by Lauren Blakely. This was book 5 in the Love and Hockey series. This one was a single dad nanny romance. It's also like a friends to lovers. Our heroine, it's also a runaway bride, and then she gets disowned by her parents. And as I will say, I am pretty sick of that trope right now. And this was one of the books that like really, it did not start this trend by any means. There's lots of them. But in these new releases were when I really got sick of the runaway bride and her parents side with the man who cheated on her trope. And I read like, I think I read 4 of those in the last like 2 months. And I'm so sick of that trope. Like, beyond belief am I sick of that. So this was one of the first ones of that too. Like, her parents are just so nasty that I'm like, whose parents are that nasty? Like, I don't know. Some parents are, okay, I get it. It's just, it's the trope of the parents who want you to stay with someone who cheated on you. I'm done with it. But anywho, yeah, this one was Tyler and, who is it? Tyler and Sabrina. And she was also the skating coach for his daughter. And when she ends up needing more work because her parents again disowned her and she like lost that opportunity. I think she was like working for the family company. And so she gets disowned and fired and loses like everything. She only has her skating coach job, and which was just like a side gig before. And the hero ends up hiring her to be his full-time live-in nanny. So this was cute still. I love this series. The biggest issue, and here's the thing, like, I have not complained about this series being too long because Lauren Blakely has made it worth it, right? The 5 books in this series I've read, 4 of them, you know, they've all been about this long, and I think she's used that page well. Even in stories that have been one-night stand romances to start, she has built the relationships so well that even though it might seem long, I enjoyed my time with the characters. I felt like I knew them really well. This one, these 2 are clearly into each other very early on, and we just drag out the drama, which doesn't have to do, you know, the drama could have really been with his ex-wife. It could have been in like other places, but it was solely kind of about her feeling rejected by her parents. And I just didn't care for that to be like the conflict of this. So I don't know. This one is just my least favorite in the series, but it was still a 4-star read. The audiobooks are duet narration. And I think they have the full, no, it's not those ones. That's like Mr. Swoony and stuff. I don't think they keep the full cast in this one. But either way, it's duet narration. And I mean, she has some of the best narrators in the business who work with her. So, okay, then there was A Royal Mile. This one was book 2 in the Return to Dublin Street. This one was a like rivals to friends to enemies to lovers situation here. There's also a prince. He's a grandson of the princess Sebastian Thorne. And the heroine here is so it's Sebastian and is it Lily? Is her name Lily? I was right. It's Lily. Should have known that from these. This takes place, or this was narrated by Zara Hampton Brown and Shane East, who you know, I love them. And yeah, it was all right. I did not care for it as much as the first book in the series or the ones that were in the previous series. It just wasn't working for me as well. This one, it felt very juvenile as well. Like, they're in college in this one. I mean, it's like, I think we're in grad school and stuff, but I don't know. Their issues just felt super juvenile, and the hero's reason for wanting to not be in a relationship was really stupid to me. I mean, it had merit in that it was kind of a mental health-ish reason why not, but I don't know, it just didn't jive with me. Okay, then there was Gloves Off by Stephanie Archer. This is a part of her Vancouver something series. This was a hockey romance. This was a marriage of convenience. He needs to get his like green card and she needs support for her charity. He thinks she's this wealthy, rich bitch doctor who almost caused him to like lose his role on the team. And she thinks that he is a stuck-up asshole, but they end up getting married for the reason that I stated and living together and falling in love. There are also 2 bunnies named Stefan and Damon, 2 bunny rabbits, which is adorable. So this was fun. I did enjoy this one quite a bit, but compared to the one that I read before this, it just wasn't as enjoyable, but it was still really good. And I am signed up for the arc of the wild card as well, which is coming next year. Then there was The Rule Breaker by Elle Nickel. This was an author who was new to me with The Matchmaker, which I loved The Matchmaker. That one was not new though. It was just the audio was new. So I didn't put that one in my recent releases thing because it wasn't technically new. But The Rule Breaker, I got the ALC of The Matchmaker and The Rule Breaker because you do need to read The Matchmaker first, in my opinion, because that one is about this heroine, which I can't remember what her name is. Because the dad's name is Sterling, and hers also starts with, Stanton is her brother. I can't remember what her name is, but they all have like ST names that are all kind of masculine. But she sets her dad up. Well, she gets a matchmaker to work with her dad, who's supposed to set him up with ladies. Loved The Matchmaker, as I said. It's actually one of my picks for my book boxes this month because I adored it so much. So this one is The Daughter and Her Bodyguard, and I didn't care for this one as much. It just was not the vibe that I wanted. But for the most part, it was good up until a certain point. Like there was a kink in the story that I just rolled my eyes at, but it also was subverted at the same time. I don't know. It mostly got a 4 because book 1 got a 4.5 and I really liked that one. So I couldn't quite give this one as high a rating as that one. You guys know how I do this, like when they're in the same series. So I still gave it a 4. I still liked it. I'm really looking forward to the next one, which I think is supposed to be the Game Maker. It's supposed to be the next one. Or the Game Changer. I don't know, but that's going to be about the brother Stanton, I think, who's a single dad. So definitely will keep reading this author who was new to me. I did receive an ALC of one of her older books again too. She has one coming out. She has a series that's already out that she's doing the audios for. So I do have another one of hers to read. So really liked her. Okay, then there is the Wrangled Love by Ann Einerson. This was the first book in her new cowboy series she's working on. I'm an ARC reader for her, and I had a pretty good time with it. It wasn't... Oh, where did I put that one? Oh, there it was. It wasn't like my favorite thing from her, but it was a single dad. It was she becomes the nanny. You know, it's all the things I would love, but it also just was lacking a bit of the luster that, like, If You Give a Single Dad a Nanny had, which, you know, I'm comparing it to the same author, and that book was like a 5-star. I adored it, and this one was just kind of missing it a little bit for me. So anyway, that's where that one fits. Okay, then there was Hardly a Gentleman by Eloisa James. So this is one of the ones that I had in ARC of this, and then I had applied for the ALC because I really, you know, like historical audiobooks the best. That's my jam. And I got approved for the audio after the book had already come out. So I didn't get around to it right away then because then it was already out. But one of my friends, Erin, really enjoyed this. And I was like, you know what? I got the audio of it. Let's pop it in. So this was narrated by... who was this narrated by? I have my sheet right here. This was narrated by Mary Jane Wells, who's someone I really love. And it's Scottish. The hero is Scottish. And this one was a romantic comedy in a lot of ways, even though... so this one is like, the heroine is she's about to be forced into marriage to this old creepy guy. She ends up running away, and she runs into this opportunity to be a housekeeper for a Scottish laird. And so she kind of runs away to do that. And he's actually a widower in this area, and everyone always just pities him because he lost the love of his life. Well, what he doesn't really say is that he wasn't that in love with his wife. They got on all right, but when she died, everyone just took his like stoicism about it for like he was deeply grieving. But he meets the heroine and he falls head over heels for her very quickly. So this one is a bit of a whirlwind romance, but I still liked them a lot and I had a fun time. Okay, then there was Precious Hazard by Neva Altai. And again, this was a highly anticipated one, and it just let me down a little bit. I feel that it was too long. I think her books have gotten a bit long. And while, you know, same with Lauren Blakely, if an author uses that page time to make me deeply care about the characters, I don't mind if it's long. In fact, I wish it would go on forever. I mean, I don't actually, but you know. But when it feels like we're spinning our wheels or we repeat scenes over and over, it drags for me. And Precious Hazard is one that did that to me. I think the story was strong, but it would have been stronger if we'd cut out some page time. Because I think if we hadn't dwelt on certain things over and over again, I would have liked it better. So I also was coming off of a book that was a 6-star read from her, so I had high expectations for it, and it just missed it for me. Like, that's just the truth. It missed it for me. So there we go. Then there was Bleacher Report by Kenna King. This was a fun hockey romance between this was the heroine who is a podcaster, and she needs to get this certain interview with this hockey player who doesn't give interviews, and he ends up needing a fake girlfriend to get his ex-girlfriend off of his case, and so she agrees to help him out with that, but they end up needing to be like fake engaged to each other for it. So perfectly serviceable, and I had a relatively good time with it. Mountain Daddy by S.J. Tilley. I had this sent to me as an ARC, and I did wait till the day the audio came out and grabbed it because these are thick books and I like the audio for them. And yeah, this was a dad's best friend, though it is forbidden in that way. Like, the heroine is, I believe, 30 and he's like in his 50s, so it is a 20-year age gap, but like it's well past being like inappropriate really, because she's been an adult for a good solid decade herself. This does have some trauma in it though. And the thing then that bugged me is that the woman is like 30 and they're really so scared about her dad finding out. Like, her dad didn't show any like symptoms to me of being overly irrational about it. And he also does love this man. Like, they are good friends. So it's one of those where it's like, yeah, you probably would be a bit off-put that his daughter was into his friend, but I don't think it was a big deal enough of like, sneak out my bedroom window and we can't tell your dad because it'll ruin a relationship. Like, there was that level of drama to it that I was like, I think you balanced this wrong. So that was my feel on that one. All right. Then there was Beyond the Stroke, which was by Aaron Hawkins. And this one actually was, the hero was a swimmer and the heroine is living in a like camper van, kind of traveling and doing work and art in different places. So this one became a fake dating scenario as well, but this was cute. It was a bit of a, I wouldn't call it black cat golden retriever, but I would call it kind of like reverse grumpy sunshine, because he's definitely the sunshine and she's grumpy, but more so like protective of her peace is what I will say, and protective of her anonymity is where I would say with her. Okay, and then the last one that I gave 4 stars to is the one that hurts the most, y'all. It hurts the most, but again, it's still 4 stars. And as I went into great detail in the last weekly wrap up, I have the highest of standards of expectations for this author. And this story just didn't hit those for me, but it is still well told. It is still good. I just, for me and what my like, how I rate this author, this was a 4 star. So we had To the Chase, which I know was super controversial. I usually give her a 5 or a 6 star, but the heroine was tough for me. I have since, like, I've really been thinking on her, and I do have to reread this to put my annotations in it and everything. So maybe I will soften a bit as we go, but I have pretty mixed feelings on this. The hero was a 6 star. The heroine was like a 3. The scenario was like a 4. So I ended on a 4 with it, but it's still good. Like, again, it's still good. I just have very high expectations for Julia Wolf. And so even though this book is probably better written than some of the ones I'm about to go through that are 4.5 and 5, that's where it's at. All right, let's go through the category that I have the same. Well, I guess for 4 and 5 stars, I had 9 or 11 of each of those. So that's good. Let's get into the 4.5 stars that I had. So we have the lovely Edge of Surrender by A.L. Jackson. Beautiful in here. I'm so blessed whenever these show up. These books are of such good quality. And to be on her like influencer list, I don't know how I lucked into it, but I'm happy to be here. This one I liked pretty much as book 1. Because the plot that has to do with the like rescuing of people in the background, like that's what the Sanctum group does, is rescue people from bad situations. And in this one, we really find out why this hero, this is Emery, and what's the hero's name in this one? Kane. We really find out why he does what he does in a really powerful way in this one. And I loved that. This one is also a surprise single dad. We have the heroine Emery, who is the aunt of the little girl. And her sister has died. And her sister asked her to bring her daughter to meet her dad. And the heroine is baffled. Why? Because she's only heard, like, she's always thought kind of bad things about him, and where was he and why wasn't he in their lives? And you find out some interesting circumstances, and you find out that Kane is actually connected to something horrible that happened to the heroine. And so it all unfolds in a very intense way. And then there's also him meeting his little girl and it immediately changing him. And it was beautiful. And A.L. Jackson's absolute strong suit is single dads and single moms. And that's just where she shines. Like, book 2 in this series is the only book of hers I've ever read that wasn't a single parent. Because that's what she writes. And this one was very, very well done. So this was a 4.5. Like, I just do her books, just tear you apart. As I say, I tend to recommend the audios for those because she does write in a very lyrical, where did I just put that? She writes in a very lyrical and romantic way that I think is best served in audio. Otherwise, it can be a bit overwhelming. Okay, then there was Empire of Seduction. This one, I think I have the art piece right here. I get so much art in books that I can't keep it in all of them, but here's the art of this couple. This one was book 2 in the New York State of Mind. I was kindly sent a copy of this one by the author. I think it's signed to me. Ooh, she did sign it to me. This is also Joanna Shoup, who has a book coming out this month that I need to start the audiobook for that one. But yeah, this one is the heroine and her brother own the family winery, and Vito is there to basically take it from them. And he wins it in a poker game, and then he now owns 51% of the winery. And the heroine didn't have a choice in any of that. And while, you know, we understand her being very protective of the family business and very upset that her brother gambled it away, the family business was not doing well. And having Vito step in and fix a lot of things could actually be a saving grace that she didn't know they needed, right? But that's going to be tough for her. We'll just say it's going to be tough for her. So yeah, this was good. The Mafia by Mila Finelli just scratches some great itches for me. It really does. Usually just a little bit kinky, just a little flavor. This one starts as a one-night stand as well. And boy, does it get feisty. Those two do for sure. Okay, then there was Undeniably Unexpected by Jay Salmon. I had an audio of that one, as I do for all of her books. And that one was a single dad who is a celebrity and an actor. And this one ends up being a fake, like, dating scenario to help him keep his daughter. Because he is actually I think, British citizen, and his child, like, is, or isn't, I can't remember what it is, but there's some reason that he's worried about finding out fully who the child's, like, father is, and if it's not him, could the child be taken away? Like, there was a whole storyline with this one, but the heroine was a pediatric doctor, and the hero was an actor who worked, like, with her cousin, I think. So that's how she, like, knew him. She actually already had a crush on him before, and now he's a sexy single dad, and she's just, like, completely overwhelmed. And then they end up fake dating, and she's like, I'm in trouble. So this was adorable. His little kid was adorable. There was nothing to hate about this book, okay? There just wasn't. I had a good time. Okay, then there was Beg For Me by J.T. Geisinger. And I hadn't read a J.T. Geisinger in a long time, you know, because she hasn't had one out in a while. This book got pushed quite a bit. So I was already signed up for an arc of this way back when, though I didn't know if I wanted to read it at the time. So when we finally found out this book was coming, I still needed to read book 2, which I did. I listened to the audio. And then book 3, I read the arc, and I liked this one. I liked it a lot. It's my favorite in the series. The hero is actually kind of beta, but he is still a member of this badass family and has all this power, and he's also the tech guru. So he becomes obsessed with this woman who is a single mom. Her kid is like a teen. She's just recently been divorced, and her husband is causing a stink. They're actually in rival companies, and he becomes obsessed with her. And so he starts stalking her, and eventually runs into her and kind of begs her to give him a chance. And yeah, the heroine is definitely very strong in here, and she takes the initiative to a lot of things, but he still is like kind of an unrelenting golden retriever who just will not give up. There is some like scenes where they like switch, but I would say she's in control. Oops, there it went. She's in control of a lot of their sexual situations. And that's not always something people are going to want to read or like. But I think it had a good balance of her being in charge in some scenes and him wanting her to do certain like things to him. Like there is a scene where she spanks him with a spoon and he literally comes from her doing it, and it's so hot, you guys. But it's not everybody's thing. Like, it is always tough when there is a character, a heroine who's more dominant in books, because it's a lot of women just don't want to read it. Like, it's just true. But what I think was done well is if you think about how you liked, if you liked Brutal Vows and how there were some scenes where Spider let like role playing happen and things, and you kind of wished that it would go even a bit further, it does in this one. So I also liked the subplot of this one. So I liked these books better with each one. I really didn't care for Liars Like Us. Honestly, it was a huge miss for me. So that's why it took me so long to read book 2. But I liked book 2 even more. And then book 3, I really liked. I gave it 4.5 stars. Okay, then there was The Way We Win by Tia Louise. This is one I've talked about so many times since I read it, because this one is a double single parent. So he has a young daughter and she has a son who is like a senior in high school, and he is the football coach to her son. She's also friends with his sister, and they've been in like weddings for all of his siblings. They've been like in the weddings together. He's secretly a bit of a dom, and he's a bit ashamed about it because he's had partners shame him before. So he thinks that he's too much. And I kind of liked that turnabout. Okay, like there are a lot of books where the heroine is considered too much and then the guy accepts her. And I kind of liked that he was made to feel like too much for his desires, which honestly, like, they weren't that over the top by any means. Like, really, his type of, the kink in this is very mild, especially, if you read BDSM books like me. But he was made to feel shameful that he wanted to, have some certain type of sex once in a while. Like, he wasn't even, his wife shamed him is the thing too. So he's very timid to offer that. But our heroine is a librarian, and she has read her share of naughty books. And when she finds out he wants to do some of those things, she is all in on it. And it's kind of fun because they are still like experimenting together, because after he shared what his desires were and he was shamed for it, he's like never brought it up to a partner again. And so even though those are his desires and he has looked into it, he hasn't really done much like doing it with someone. So I like that about it. Okay, then there was Chasing Shelter by Catherine Cowles. This was a single dad, and the heroine next door was kind of on the run, but it's more so one that she left a cheating partner. Like I said, I was sick of that one. But in this case, she also had a fucked up relationship with her dad that was messed up. But in this case, her brother already lives in Sparrow Falls, so that's also why she moved there. And so she has kind of at least some support in that aspect. But it was a good one. Catherine Cowles has me hooked in with those. All right, pushing through these other 4.5s here. Did I just miss one here? No, those are 5-star ones. Okay. The Sun in Her Burn by Jenn Darling. Can't talk about this one too much. It's book 2 in a trilogy. I have said this series might end up being a 5-star series, but we were just left hanging after book 2, and it was really frustrating. The end of book 2 was not cool, Tiana. All right, I said this. She was giving me Sierra Simone vibes with how she did that, and that's all I'll say about it. So it was a 4.5, but potential for it to raise once I read the 3rd book. That's what I'll say. Okay, Spark by Lauren Rowe. It was funny. I don't know if you are watching who did this. Someone actually put that book in my book recommendation form, and I've already read that one. So, which is totally fine. That's not a shame, but it made me laugh because it isn't one that I talked about ages ago. I just read that one the end of July, I think. So it wasn't long ago at all. So it's always just funny which books people catch me talking about and which ones don't. But I had an ALC of Spark and I loved it. It had a full cast. It connects with some of the other books in her Rockstar universe, as it were. So we get to see Caleb, or C-Bomb as his name pops up in this one. But yeah, this was narrated mainly by Aaron Stone and Samantha Brentmore, but there was also John Lane, Sean Masters, Tim Page, and Connor Craze. All wonderful. There was also music in this one because this is a band and the author actually wrote the songs and had them performed. So they are both in the production, and then at the end of the audiobook, there was also all of the songs back to back to back as well, which I definitely jammed out to when I finished listening to the book. So 4.5 stars. The only reason that wasn't a 5 is that honestly, not much happened in it, is the thing. Because it was two friends falling in love, and like it involved a music show that's kind of like The Voice that they're both mentors on, and I don't know. It just, there's something a bit clunky there that kind of kept it from being a 5-star, but I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Who knows? All right, there was Tiny Precious Secrets by Samantha Christie. I adored this one. I really did. It was painful. I go into spoilers and details in the weekly wrap-up where I read that one, so I won't do it now, so I don't have to say spoilers. I will say the only reason that one wasn't a 5-star had to do with how... So this one was a single dad, and then it is a surprise pregnancy for him with a younger woman who she is actually like pretty determined not to have more children. Because I will say this does involve loss of a child. Even though she is a lot younger than him, she had lost a child. And so when there's a surprise pregnancy, it is very scary for her. Okay. So I'll say that. That's not really spoilers. That's like the thing. The thing that hurt me is that his daughter, who doesn't want him to move on or like be with anyone else, she wants to be his, you know, like only sweetheart, which I get. They made this child basically like a villain to the story, just with her like being a kid, you know? And I say this in a lot of books, the kids we read, you know, I've just talked about a whole bunch of books that are single parents. The kids are angelic, almost perfect beings, okay? That say all the right things, that are perfectly okay with the romance, that are encouraging their parent to make that person their mommy or daddy. And it's just an absolute perfect world scenario. The way that this teenager acts is the way a teenager would act. But because our heroine is having a high stress pregnancy, some of those things that this child does are actually dangerous, okay? Like, I'm just sorry to go full into it. And I just didn't like that we made this child pretty much the third act conflict is this child. And I just don't like that we blame any unsureness in the relationship on the kid, right? Because the kid is what we're worried about the whole time, which you should worry about what your child feels. But some of the ways she reacts are just so bad that it's like you make it really hard to then like this kid. And I talk about it more in depth than that. I really liked this book. I gave it 4.5 stars, but a lot of people who didn't like this book, they hated that child. And even reading the reviews for it, I'm like, she's a child. What romances have you been reading, right? Like, they all make them just perfect. Or like easily won over. So I don't know. I didn't like how the kid was acting either. Like, I'll say that. But I just didn't care for that. We made her the villain of the piece. Didn't like that, okay? But I still gave it 4.5 because once they do have the girl flip the switch, like the epilogue to this, I dare you to read without crying. I dare you to read the epilogue of this and not sob, okay? So 4.5, it was beautiful. All right. There are just 2 left that are 4.5. We gotta keep it moving here. There was Chasing the Sun by Lena Hendricks. This is the start of her new series. This is a single dad. This is a heroine who finds out her friend cheated on her with her boyfriend, and she loses her job as well because they work for the same company. Like I said, I read about 4 of those this period and got sick of it, but this was good. Start of a new series. I had a fun time. And then Make Me Yours by Jennifer Savick. This was a first-time author for me. This was a friends to lovers hockey romance. She also discovers that her partner was cheating on her, and her family wants her to get back to him. You see why there was a lot of these. Okay, I read a lot of these. This runaway, either bride or kicked out, whatever. But she becomes her friend's, like, personal assistant, basically, for work, and he also moves her in with him, and he's finally going to make his move and prove that he is the one for her, and yada yada. But I really liked it. It was hot, it was sexy, and he really wanted to, like, win her over, which we love to see that. Okay, now let's get to my 5-star reads, of which I had 5 of them. So this is great. Let's see, which color are the ones? That color, there we go. All right, we had Crazy Love by Willow Astor. This one is the final book in the Single Dad Playbook series, and this one tore my heart out. This one is actually about, like, adoption and foster care, and our hero is a football player, and the heroine is the diet coach, kind of, for the, what is she called? The nutritionist for the team, and her father is the coach. These two almost have a one-night stand and ends up not working. But then they run into each other when she's starting her job. And their hope of being together is dashed because the coach already has him on his shit list. And he's like, if I piss him off, I could lose everything that I've worked so hard for. So it can't happen. But he is basically trying to adopt a boy that he has been kind of like a big brother for many years now. He's in a bad foster care situation. And this wealthy millionaire football player wants to adopt this boy, and it's just not working out because he's a single man, because they're like, well, you will, it's true, he will be traveling a lot and there'll be these things, but when the kid ends up being abused by his foster parent, the hero is like, fuck this noise, I want him, let me take care of this kid. And the heroine agrees to marry him so that he can be, and then they end up also like adopting another one of his foster siblings as well. So it was really beautiful. It's heartwarming. All of the single dad books, they don't have, in this series, they don't have a ton of extra going on. The romances are pretty easy, but I love them. Like, they're so beautiful, and they're just like a breath of fresh air whenever I read them. So really enjoy Willow Astor's books, and her new series was just announced, and I can't wait for that one to come as well. Okay, then there was Where We Bloom by Kristen Proby. This was book 3 in the Blackwells of Montana. This one was Connor and Billy. Listened to an audio of this one, which was delightful with the sexy Irish accent going on. This one is, she is the, what did it say here? It's an age gap billionaire, best friend's brother. It's in Bitterroot Valley. She is a bookstore owner. He is a hotelier, billionaire, and they have had a one-night stand before, and then he happens to be in town because his sister, which book 2 is about his sister is there. Her life is there now, and he will come to visit, and then he realizes that it's Billy that he had a one-night stand with, and he's obsessed, and he wants to keep her, all the good things with that. Then there was Against All Odds by Corinne Michaels. I loved this one because it was a not his baby. The heroine is actually just found out her husband cheated on her very publicly because her husband's an actor and she was a teacher. And when she finds out he cheats on her, she decides to go back to her hometown for at least a year. Her plan is to go for at least a year, and so she gets a job teaching for an interim there. The thing is that her love of her life, who's a veterinarian in the town now, they had fallen in love in high school, but then when they went to college, like, they ended up breaking up. She wasn't sure she wanted to be a football guy's wife, and he ended up getting hurt not long after. And also his mother and father were in a tragic accident, and his mother now has like an early onset, like, it's not quite dementia. It was caused by the accident, but the symptoms are like dementia. And so he doesn't leave town. He stays there. He's there with his mother. And now the ex-love of his life is back in town, and she lives right next door to him again, and he doesn't know what to do about this or how to handle it. And then when they discover that she is pregnant with her ex's baby, there's a whole other drama of, can they stay together with this happening? And of course the answer is yes, they freaking can. So there you go. All right, then there was Thorns and Fire by Helen Schreier. I don't know how to say it, I'm sorry. But anyway, this was book 2 in the Ashes of Thesmar. And this one is about Torge and Ren. And they had kind of a breakup at the end of book 1. But this is a fantasy world, and we are dealing with kingdoms and heirs, and he is still her bodyguard. And there is also an unholy blight that has taken over part of the land that they're trying to fix. There is politics. And there is Ren trying to figure out why this man, who finally they were having a second chance, just broke it off from her. There is fated mates involved in this, and it was just good, y'all. It was so good. I was so hooked on this. I did have an e-arc of this one, but I did wait till the audio dropped because I just love the narrators for this. I can't remember who the narrators are for this one. Let me find. It was Matt Hayes and Amelia Bauer, and they were wonderful. So I'm really excited for book 3 because this one does have a cliffhanger too, but is nowhere near as painful as book 1. And the couple is like together at the end of this, even though there's some interesting stuff going on. We'll just say that. But 5 stars, loved it. I can't wait for the 3rd book, which is coming in November. So not too long. Like, that will go fast, y'all. It was originally shown that it was in March of next year, but she is still like indie and trad published. So it got pulled up to November, which is great. And then the last one to mention, and the last one that I gave 5 stars because I didn't have any 6-star reads in this section, there was Rewind It Back by Liz Tom 40. So I did finally get to this one. So happy to have finally read this book. I was annotating it while I went along. And this one is Rio and Hallie, and it is a second chance between the two of them. They were in love when they were young. They were each other's firsts. And then something happened 6 years ago that made them both hate each other. And they haven't seen each other really since then. He was also best friends with her brother. All of that got destroyed because of something, and of course you're going to find out when it happens. I will say this, it isn't because one of them cheated. Okay, let me just say that, because when I hear a couple breaks up and they hate each other and they were young when they broke up, I'm always like, wait, did someone cheat? Well, neither of them cheat, let's just say that. But now she lives next door to him, and she is supposed to be the designer who works on his house, and he's like, I can't be around you that much. And she's like, well, I need this role, and he agrees to let her do it, and they are immediately falling back in love. Let's just say that. But they still have to deal with what happened 6 years ago and how do we move forward. I feel that Liz Tom 40 used flashbacks perfectly for me. They are not overdone. They only happen when we're showing significant parts, and they go from like when they first meet. So there's one at like 13, 15, 16, and 18. So they're not every other chapter. They're not happening all the time. They're showing specific events that have been referenced like already in the book, and then we see them happen. I very rarely love seeing that. And the way that this handled it, I thought was good, in my opinion. I really loved Rio. There were some beautiful scenes in here. I think that for me, this is my second favorite in the series. I think that's where it sits. The Right Move is still number 1, but this for me, I liked it more than Mile High and Caught Up, and those were previously like right after it. And then book 4 is still my least favorite. Play Along is still my least favorite, but nothing like, I just went through The Right Move the other day because I had to annotate one for someone. That is still my favorite. It absolutely is. But he comes in right behind Ryan Shea for sure. And they're also, this one takes place, you know, a bit more down the timeline too. So we get to see the love stories happening with everyone. They all love Rio, and so they're cheering for him, and they want to know, like, who's this woman who broke your heart? Like, we don't know about this. And so they're very much like our stand-ins in this story of being like, Rio, tell us what happened. So this was really good. I really liked it, and I'm so happy I finally got around to it. So, all right, there we go. Those are the like last 38 recent releases that I read and how I would rank them. Let me know how you would rank some of them, maybe telling me your least favorite and most liked recent reads. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel. I put up 3 to 4 videos a week. I also have a Patreon. You can support me there or buy me a coffee sometime. I have links for all of that down below, and any support is appreciated. So thank you so much for watching, friends. We'll see you next time. Bye.